Hello, hi. Welcome to the Actuarial Productivity series. We are going to be embarking on a new course to just assist students who are starting out with actuarial exams or even actuarial professionals. Just discussing some of the issues that students or even trainees or professionals encounter day to day in their professional life, right? So this is going to be one of the first discussions we hold, and we just aim to help and assist in actuarial professional development and to help with regards to different issues that young professionals or even experienced professionals encounter in their day-to-day working lives. So the series is going to consist of me and Masimba Zata and Batsrai Kapembeza. And we might also get other guests as we go from time to time. But before we start to discuss what we're going to be touching on today, I think just to give you a better understanding of who we are, we will just introduce ourselves, just tell you about our backgrounds, our education, and our current work. So with me in the discussion is Masimba Zata, my colleague and mentor and partner, and I'll just put it through to him just to introduce himself, to just give his background, his education, where he's currently working, and then as soon as it's done, I'll also do the same. So over to you, Masim.
Yeah, thank you, Batsi, and hi everyone. It's great to be part of this. I think it's a topic I'm very passionate about, and hopefully that will come through as we discussing it, and also as you sort of hear about my background. So I sort of came across the actuarial profession at quite an early stage in my life. So I was about 15 years old. I had a maths tutor who told me about the profession when I was just getting asked what did I want to do when I grow up, and like any child, I had it swung from being a pilot to an engineer to everything else. And he sort of said, well, you've got a very strong aptitude for maths. Have you thought about becoming an actuary? And I'd never heard of it. So he told me about it, and I thought, okay, that's something that I would quite like to do. So that's how I found out about the profession. And then I went on to study actuarial science at the University of Kent in the UK, before embarking on an actuarial career that initially took me from pensions consulting, mostly with PwC, to insurance back office, so finance, capital, and regulatory projects within the UK insurance industry. So I did that for a good number of years, and I moved from technical actuarial roles into sort of management roles over a period of about 10 years. Okay, so I'm so this is sort of up until about 2016, 2017, 2018, I transitioned into management. And then stayed within sort of management roles until about 4 years ago, when I then moved to Moody's, where I currently work in a full-time role, it's essentially an actuarial consultant, an internal actuarial consultant for software development of actuarial related products. Okay. So that's my current role. I manage a team of actuaries and accountants who work in the same space of sort of advisory, and yeah, I've sort of used that role to span out into academia. So I've got a visiting lecturer role within the actuarial program at Queen Mary, University of London. I'm also engaged in the IFOA, Institute of Faculty of Actuaries Council, Institute of Faculty of Actuaries Foundation as well. Where we're sort of helping to grow the profession from the grassroots, and give opportunities to those who might not otherwise have it. And obviously engaged at Ennis Actuaries as well in this role of helping the next generation of actuaries, meet their potential and get a foothold in the profession. So very varied portfolio career at this stage of my life, and but yeah, hopefully that gives you a flavor of where I am.
Okay, no, thank you. Then over to me. No, for me, my background is a bit more on the non-traditional side. I also came to year of actuarial science, I think, through my sister when I was just finishing primary school, beginning of high school, and also at school, like people used to talk about the profession. And funny enough, in my class, there were a lot of the really brighter students, quite a number of them. They actually wanted to study actuarial science. Like I think from our early years in high school, they always used to talk about wanting to go through that career path. So we always had a passion for it, me and some of my fellow friends and students that I studied with. But
Mm-hmm.
as you finish high school and results come out and reality sinks in, people always end up studying different things. One of my friends also wanted to study actuarial science, ended up doing engineering. Some went into just different areas, pharmaceuticals, some accountants, some are now CAs and so forth. So for me, I'm the one who decided to persevere with the career path, and then it took me like around a bit, and I ended up taking the exams a few years after high school directly before I was done with my degree. And I actually did quite a number of the professional exams directly through the IFOA. And then I also completed a degree in maths and statistics. But the way I did it was a bit in the non-traditional sense, in that I did most of the exams first before the degree. Yeah. And then it's been an up and down journey, especially if you decide to go at it alone without a traditional degree program. Like you encounter a lot of obstacles, and that's where you need support of podcasts such as these or other professionals who are willing to engage with you, like what Masimba has done. If you're in a university structure, in a structured program, it's a bit different, of course, because you are around other people who are also studying, and you're also around lecturers and professors in a university structure. But if you're taking the exams in a non-traditional route, let's say you're coming from engineering, I even know some people who've done medicine who are taking the exams or who've done IT, you tend to take the exams alone. So because of that, you require a lot of support and access to things like this podcast. So I did most of the exams outside of a proper university structure. I did them myself. It's possible. It's difficult, but it's possible, as you can see. And then I'm currently working at Ennis Actuaries slash tutorials. It's a business that I founded, and I'm also part of as an entrepreneur and also as a consultant. So I touch on a diverse range of areas, from supporting university postgrad, MBA, PhD students with their research or their courses and so forth, and also taking on actuarial consultancy roles as they arise. So I think I'm more on the other side. I'm more of the younger, new qualified guys who's not in a traditional role, who's more entrepreneurial and trying to be innovative and to help the young up and coming actuaries who aren't in the traditional programs in terms of how they're trying to study, and to just provide some insight and help as to how they can make the most of their studies. Yeah. So that's,
Yeah.
but you'll learn
And I
more
think
about
that's
this as we go.
yeah, I think that's where hopefully this podcast will be great as well, because you will get that lovely contrast of the traditional path and the non-traditional path, but, to achieving your goals in the actuarial profession, and actually to demonstrate there isn't that's one single way of doing it. Okay, there are multiple ways you can do it. And together between me and Batsy, we'll be able to show you that there are multiple ways of doing it, and we'll always try to contrast between those two paths in any of the discussions we're doing. So whether you as Batsy said, you may be on the traditional path at university. I can speak to that. I teach at an actuarial science degree program. So I'm part of the traditional path, if you like, and I've taken a traditional path to sort of qualification and senior management within the profession. But I work with Batsy as well, and so I hopefully you'll be able to sort of see that there's this other approach as well that you can sort of take, and hopefully that will come through.
Yes. No, thank you, Masimba. Okay, so now let's get into what we are going to be discussing in this first discussion, something really, really important. Today, we just want to touch on soft skills and hard skills. That's what the discussion is going to be touching on, and just how they relate to actuarial work. And we'll also offer some suggestions on how to improve soft skills after giving some of our own examples and how they apply to our everyday work life. Now, there's this thing that happens in that when you are introduced to actuarial science, or when you talk to a lot of university students or young kids, young pupils in high school, there's an emphasis from people who introduce us to actuarial science. There's an emphasis on the importance of hard skills. There's an importance. There's an emphasis on hard skills and what they are and what they relate to. So I'm sure as Masimba is about to just explain the difference between hard and soft skills, we'll both see, especially if you're starting on your actuarial career, how we just tend to be told that actuarial science has to do with the technical parts and so forth, but there are other areas that also complement the hard skills area. But Masimba will just explain what soft skills are, what hard skills are, and you'll notice that we just tend to get sold when we enter into the profession. We just tend to get sold on the hard skills aspect of actuarial science, and not more the soft skills. But you can take it away, Masimba, just to differentiate between the two. And
yeah, sure. So I think, and maybe let me start by taking us back to how I discovered the profession, right? My uncle, was my maths tutor, said you're good in maths, so the actual profession is great for you. Okay, so the connection, the first connection that tends to happen is the hard skill. You're a mathematician, so if you're a mathematician, you're going to be a good actuary, and that's in many it's probably 60% true, I would say. Okay, so I think if you're good in maths, you're obviously going to be very capable to get through most of the exams, and you're going to be able to have a very good, a decent actuarial career. Okay, so I think that's true, and that's what I would call the hard skill. The ability to be able to crunch the numbers, the ability to be able to understand the difficult concepts, the ability to be able to, if you're looking at the exam syllabus, the ability to tackle the first 9 or 10 exams, basically, that are testing your core technical skill set. Okay, and I think the exam system now, particularly with the IFOA, then tries to start engaging the softer skills. So when you start getting to the later exams, they'll start to ask you to explain things, to describe things. They'll start asking you to communicate to customers. They'll start asking you to document what you've done, and so that someone else can be able to understand what you've done. And they'll start to, so they're now starting to sort of say, okay, yes, you've proven that you're a good mathematician, and you've gone through the first 9 or 10 exams that focus on that skill of you being a good mathematician, being a good technical person who understands complex concepts, basically, right? But what actually then, you need it to pass actual exams anyway. So if you've qualified as an actuary, you've already demonstrated a certain degree of soft skills, because you've been able to demonstrate, you can explain, describe, you can discuss. All of that is part of the softer skill. And once you've qualified, it goes beyond now. It starts to come to the way you communicate to the public. So whether that's through LinkedIn, or writing reports, the way you communicate to people when you're sitting around a boardroom table, or the way you engage with customers and clients in the workspace, the way you're able to resolve conflict, your self-awareness in terms of what your strengths are, when you're involved in a discussion or as part of a project. It then gets very broad. It's no longer just about your ability to be a good mathematician, okay, or your ability to be able to understand very complex concepts that are quite technical. It now goes beyond that and starts to touch on the other things that make you a complete professional. So I think that's how I would summarize it.
Okay, so we are saying that from what I'm getting from you, you're saying that the hard skills
Mm.
aspects are more the technical aspects, like what we are told as kids, that if you're good at maths, if you're good at this, then you can be a good actuary. And then
Exactly.
the soft skills are more of the, can I say, social interrelational skills, partly how
Exactly.
you communicate, how
Yes.
you, once you've solved that technical problem, how you can tell it to someone in human resources or marketing, how you
Exactly.
can document your work, and how you can communicate your the technical aspects of your work. Partly that's part of the soft skills, I think.
That's
I don't know
that's
if
right.
I'm
Yeah. So this is now, so if you're, the hard skill is what you do behind the computer, and you can sit there and on your own you can do it. You can crunch your numbers, or on your calculator, or whatever it might be, basically, right? And you're able to sort of do that. The soft skill now is about, as you said, I think that you used a good term there, interrelational. It's how do you then interact with others? How well do you understand yourself in terms of your view of the world? And how do you understand others in terms of their view of the world? How do you understand how others require or how others absorb information? Are you able to tailor the way you communicate your information to the audience? Or are you just going to sort of read out your very complex formulas and say, okay, the answer is 20 because the formula is x squared plus y squared plus whatever. It's understanding the audience you're speaking to, and understanding that you're going to need to tailor your message, tailor your communication to the audience that you're speaking to, and also have an awareness of what that audience is. Okay, so it goes beyond now just your ability to be a good technical person. It's now how well are you able to then relate the work you've done to the people around you and the people that need to hear the message, or the result of what you've calculated. And also, even at a personal level, it's how do you present yourself to the world? Okay, so how do you write your CV? How do you set up your LinkedIn profile? How do you engage? Because your personal profile is never going to be separate from you as a professional. So you can't just be somebody who say things on Facebook, or LinkedIn or TikTok, which you can say, no, no, that's just my personal. It's got nothing to do with me as an actuary. All of it is going to be part of who you are. All of that is part of your soft skill, basically. So you're going to need to be able to have an awareness of, okay, how am I presenting myself to the world? When people look at me, what do they see? What does an actuary look like when people look at me?
Okay, no, thank you.
Mm,
From my own experience, especially if I look at people in certain professions, like if you
mm,
look at professions such as engineers, actuaries or doctors or so forth. I remember I was actually having a discussion with someone close to me a few days back, and they actually brought that up. They were talking about social interaction and
Yeah.
communicating. And then they brought up a comment and said, but I know with actuaries, you don't communicate like people. So let's say
Yeah.
you're a student and you are starting at university and you know, in university life, especially if you're doing an actuarial science program or one of these technical programs, people tell you that if you start with these programs, you don't have a life. You should just focus on your schoolwork. You wake up, your assignments, your exams, and so forth. Like, what suggestions would you give for someone who's at university or someone in a professional career whereby they just totally just want to focus on their hard skills?
Yeah.
What day-to-day easy things can they just try to do to not ignore the soft skills too much? Like,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And I completely understand that, and I can relate to it as well. So when I go to university, I was one of those people who were saying, you know what, so much has been sacrificed for me to be here. So I need to put my head down and to study and not to engage in anything else, okay, that are associated with university life. And I can admit that was a mistake. Okay. I think there's a balance. And in my case, I actually had the balance at school. So my suggestion would be, if whatever you were doing at school, normally start from there. So I was part of clubs at school. So there were things like sports and social clubs. There was the Interact Club, which I was part of. It used to fundraise by selling donuts at school, and would then use the proceeds to donate to old people's homes. So we would then go and donate to old people's homes. It's you usually find there's something you did at some point, usually in your life as you were growing up, which you can leverage, and you can carry that through. So if I'd go to university, how I should have leveraged those sort of clubs by joining any society which is related to what you're doing. So you might not necessarily be studying an actuarial degree. Maybe you're studying a maths degree or an engineering degree. There must be a society at the university which is related to your field. Join that society, be a member of it, go through the committees or whatever. If there are opportunities to join committees, if there are opportunities to speak at events, if there are opportunities to contribute to organizing things, depending on how much time you can invest. It doesn't even actually have to be a lot. It can literally just be a few minutes here, a few minutes there, because it will then just show that you are not neglecting that part of your development. If you focus 100% on your degree program, that's fine, okay, and you get a good degree for that, but you're then having to catch up. And that's what I found, that when I left university, I got a first class degree, which was great, okay, but I then had to catch up on developing the softer skills that I had sort of decided to neglect all the way through university, because I was so focused on getting the best degree that I could. Okay, so I mean, thankfully, degree programs are changing, and the degree program that I lead at Queen Mary has got essentially a soft skills module. So some universities now starting to introduce some of these soft skill modules. Essentially, they'll call them different names, but they're starting to introduce them. But if you don't have that, then make sure you're making an effort to engage in the sort of things that you're able. And like I said, it can be a club, it can be anything that's going to allow you to engage with other people outside of the classroom, and allows you an opportunity either to stand in front of people or to engage with people, or to sort of create a network.
Yeah. No, I
Mm,
understand. And for
mm,
you, like for me personally, I've also seen it firsthand that
mm,
to be honest, I had that approach when I started my studies.
mm,
No one ever told me the importance of soft skills. Like
mm.
you just get trained from an early age, especially ending high school, that hard skills are the only thing that matter. Hard
Yes,
skills, hard skills, hard skills.
yes, yeah,
But now, as you complete with your hard skills and you're done with the technical parts of your qualifications, you start seeing colleagues or other people
Mm.
who you are technically better than in terms of hard skills, actuarial wise, but they are
Yeah.
really strong with their soft
Mm.
skills
Yes.
in terms of how they interact with people, how they bring about proposals, and it also
Yes.
opens doors and opportunities.
Mm.
So, as much as you might think that hard skills are the only way to open doors and opportunities,
Mm.
soft skills also matter. Like I've
No.
seen people be successful because of their soft skills, how they communicate, how they relate to, and you also find that some people are really good problem solvers, like they know how
Mm.
to do the technical things behind the computer, but they're not good at communicating and
Yeah.
presenting themselves. So I think another way to balance things out is to try to grow your soft skills as an individual. But if you really, really do like, it's also worth partnering maybe with people who are really good with their soft skills. I don't know what you
Yes.
think about that, especially in a business context or in partnerships. Yeah.
Massively. Yes. Yeah. I think getting a, I mean, at the most extreme end, get a coach. Okay, get an executive coach. Obviously, it will cost money to get
Yes.
an executive coach, but you can actually, there's now a whole profession that actually trains people up, okay, to develop their soft skills. So that's the most extreme end if you want to spend money doing it. But day to day, you can actually just engage, as you said, with people who are good at this. Join circles of people that are good at this. Join things. I mean, there are things like the Rotary Club. I now realize, as an adult, that there are certain things that were already happening when we were growing up. We could have utilized, Toastmasters, just things that are around you, which allow you to be part of a group of people who are trying to gain their confidence in engaging or in developing this soft skill, or people who are already naturally good at it. And you're sort of learning by being part of that ecosystem. You're sort of learning to develop this skill as well, and you're growing this skill as you're sort of part of that. So I completely agree. I mean, just I think be part of something. It's important. Yeah.
Like things like debate, for example.
Exactly.
And it's
Right.
amazing how the recent US election has been turned on its head with Joe
Just
Biden
just by it
just
was a
from a
debate.
debate, just
Yeah.
communication, not communicating well,
Exactly. The
and
guy,
the
the guy,
implications it
people are
has.
arguing about how well he's done. And I mean,
Yes,
literally
yes, yes.
within 24 hours,
Yeah,
okay, I mean, we'll see how Kamala Harris does, but within 24 hours, whichever side of the political argument you're on, she's been able to re-energize the support of her party just by saying the obvious things properly.
yeah,
Okay,
properly.
just by being able to communicate. These are all the good things we did.
We did,
We've been in power
yes,
for 4 years. These are all the good things we did. This is what we're going to try and do going forward. So regardless, and I've listened to the debates from both sides of the fence. You can sort of see that people who are willing to be honest on both sides of the fence are saying, you know what, we now are just in a position where we can now communicate better.
communicate.
Okay, we're now able to, we can now see where this is going, where we can now see, that okay, they're exactly the same people. Kamala Harris, Biden, they're part of the same team. They've been running the same show, but it's now just somebody who's saying, okay, this is my case. This is the case we're making. People can then now judge based on information which is being delivered in the best way. Trump has
Yeah,
been very effective in communicating his message, very, very effective. Now he's got somebody on the Democrat side who's
we can
also now
also,
effective, right?
yeah,
And then people can judge fairly in that regard. And I look back on things like the debate team. I ran away from them when I was at school. I'm like, oh,
exactly.
I don't do debate. I
Because
don't do
we
debate. I'm a
get
scientist.
told, I know,
Yeah,
when we're at
yeah,
school, you get told that people who are technical
yes,
and who are into the sciences and so forth,
yeah,
you should just be a recluse, you know.
exactly,
And then the
exactly,
people who do debate are people who want to go into maybe law or,
exactly. Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
it's amazing. But whereas I think someone who's in law
Hmm.
or someone who's in law can actually be successful, without knowing some of the more technical parts of some of the work actuaries do. Whereas
So
for
I'll give
some,
you an example. I mean,
yeah,
before I forget, I'll give you an example. You made a very good point. I've worked for a global insurance company which had a lawyer as a chief financial officer.
yes,
A
yes,
lawyer as a chief financial officer,
yeah,
just because they wanted somebody at the head of, the person who was holding the purse of this multi-billion organization. They wanted someone who could ask the right questions and could communicate the numbers once the questions had been answered. They didn't need to be a chartered accountant. They needed, there were complicated actuarial calculations behind it. It was a global insurer with life insurance, general insurance, reinsurance, everything within it. It had complex actuarial calculations. It had complex accounting principles, but they had a lawyer. They had a lawyer as the chief financial officer. And I remember thinking at the time, huh? Because it was the first time I'd seen it, that sort of scenario. I was like, okay, I'm now understanding how important soft skills are, basically, because this company has decided, you know what, we've got a really great group of technical people, but we actually need somebody who is able to ask the right questions and then communicate it to the market, because this is going to affect how we are perceived in terms of our share price, our value to our investors, and our value to our customers. So it's so important, and it's a shame that those technical people, like myself, as you said, we were trained to, be very good technical people. That's what you need to be, and nothing else, almost, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
we're now realizing, actually, we missed
yeah.
a trick there. We needed to be good communicators as well. It's very, very important.
Yeah, no, you need to balance it out. So
Mm,
from your day-to-day life and everything,
mm,
and how you've been growing as a profession ever since
mm,
you entered the profession with all your experience and the people you lead and so forth,
mm,
what are some of the practical ways you yourself, I have my
yeah,
own approaches that I use to just improve your soft skills from
yeah,
experiences or your strategies and approaches.
mm,
Maybe there are books you read or platforms or podcasts you follow and so forth.
yeah.
I can start or you can go ahead. Like how you've been trying to improve your soft skills. Like for me, for example,
Mm,
when I've been going to seminars, like let's say I go to a retirement seminar, investment seminar, I never used to do this, but these days I like to ask questions. Like I like
yes.
to address the public, to get the mic.
Mm,
Of course,
mm,
sometimes you'll ask questions that really do make a lot of sense, and even the people answering will say, "No, that's a good question." But sometimes you might ask questions that might seem a bit, but you learn and grow from that. Like
yeah.
you learn and grow from that. So I always make it my goal that when I attend seminars, even if there are hundreds of people, at least I need to really be engaged and
Yes. Yeah.
to ask questions. And what I always find after that is that the person next to me or the person presenting, people always end up engaging with me and talking,
Yeah.
and I improve my soft skills communication wise. Another way I improve my soft skills, or I would advise other people to improve their soft skills, is to just take time to teach. I mean, if you get
Yes.
an opportunity, whether it's even high school students, people around
Mm,
your age, if there's something you think you are good at, just plan, teach. It'll just help you with regards to communication, to get cues with regards to the people you're communicating to, if they're understanding what you're talking about. Are you too technical? Are you too simple? Like, so those are some of the approaches I use just to help me to just, especially the whole context of speaking in public. There's a saying
mm,
that goes, people are, that's one of the greatest phobias of people, like just
yeah.
communicating and airing your views. With someone who you're close to in private, you can do it easily, but there's that soft skill where you have to like communicate in public and air your views. So whenever I get an opportunity, I always try to do that. I was never really strong at that a few years
Mm.
ago, but it's one of the soft skills I've been trying to improve over the years. Yeah.
No,
And
that's a
what's
good. That's good.
yours
That's
like?
it's. It's a good shout, yeah. And I'm exactly the same as you. So I was very much because I listened, right? I listened to the focus on being a good actuary, put your head down, work. That was always the person I was, right? I did that. And I think for me, uh again, I would echo your points that for me it was always about finding or utilizing any opportunity I got to speak, and it can be on anything. At times, it doesn't even have to be on the actuarial um, topic or anything technical. Just get an opportunity because you're doing it a lot. I said this to a friend recently that he's known as someone who is a good communicator at church. Very, very good. You know, he'll stand up at church with a microphone all the time, but I've never seen him speak at work. Okay, I work with him, and I'm like, you've invited me to your church, and I see you're very confident. You stand in front of 50 people with a microphone, and you'll speak, and you're able to speak for 30 or 40 minutes. But I've never seen you do that at work. Why don't you do that? Because that's a strength that you have that you're not utilizing. So some people actually already have some of these strengths that they're already not utilizing. But if you feel work is too much, is too risky or it's too scary, it's never risky. It's too scary to start. Start where you are. You know, it might be part of your football club that you play with, or, you know, or on an occasional basis. It might be at church, it might be wherever. Start practicing that skill set, and then find a way to start bringing it into your professional life. You mentioned conferences. I speak at a conference whenever I get an opportunity. Okay. And what you then tend to find is you start off being very nervous, being incoherent, and people thinking, what is he talking about? To you being very confident because it's a skill, you're building it. And then before you know it, people are asking you, how do you do that? How do you, I at the last conference that I spoke at, someone came over to me, and actually, and said, how do you do that? How are you so confident? How are you able to say to crack jokes and engage the public and be so? I was like, it's because I keep doing it. So even though I'm not, I was never naturally a person who was good at doing that sort of thing of standing in front of the crowd. I just keep doing it. I got a lecturer position. You know, so I'm resonating a lot of what you said. I got a lecturer position which allowed me to go into a classroom for 1 hour a week. So I was standing in front of students for 1 hour a week. So again, it just helped to continue to build those skills in a natural way and build it cumulatively over time that you just get better and better at it. So just find ways of exposing yourself to you know all the things you mentioned, you know, being in part of a crowd, engaging when you're in that part of a crowd, whether it's asking questions or getting an opportunity to speak yourself, or just being in a place where people can see you. Maybe at times it doesn't start with you talking. At times it actually starts with people just noticing that, okay, that person is just not sitting, is not part of a crowd. We can actually see them. It just starts there, and then you sort of take it from there.
Yeah, one last point. There's something
Mm,
quite interesting that I found.
mm,
It's actually quite interesting, and I don't know what
mm,
your take on this is. When it
mm,
comes to soft skills, I've noticed something unique.
mm-hmm,
If you go to a seminar or to a
mm,
public setting, especially if it's an actuarial seminar or and so forth, but maybe it's the ones I've been at. How do you navigate the, can I call it the talks in between? I don't know
mm.
if that makes sense.
Which ones are those? When you say the
Like
talks in between, yeah.
the talks in between, like let's say you attend seminars, you do your presentations, you ask questions and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Actuaries tend to be really reclusive people, like we keep saying that. But
Yes.
I think the soft skill that's more
Mm,
difficult, and I think it's an
mm-hmm,
area I need to improve on. And I
mm.
don't know how you deal with that.
Yeah.
How do you engage on a one-to-one level with fellow actuaries? Let's say you're taking lunch or you're having tea,
Oh, yes.
starting
Good
those
shouts.
conversations, not the ones in a group setting where you're speaking to
Yes.
people,
Yes.
those
Yes.
ones where yeah,
That's a very good one, actually. And like you said, if you're naturally introverted or naturally someone who struggles in those situations, I can completely understand how uncomfortable it can feel to say, okay, how do I do this? How do I even start a conversation?
Yes, yes.
What I would always recommend is, I mean, the first thing is we're human beings. We're all breathing in oxygen. All right.
Yeah, yes, yes.
There's always something that brings us together. It could be the most basic thing. Okay, it could be talking about. I know there's a joke that always goes around, certainly in the United Kingdom, that the first thing people talk about is the weather, right?
Okay. Yes,
Because
yes.
it's a common feature of, the weather is miserable, it's always raining,
It's a
so
good icebreaker. Yeah.
exactly. You find something that kind of, so it can be the most basic thing. Oh, so how are you finding, how which talk have you found to be the most interesting today?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Which talk are you looking forward to? If it's at the start of the day, which employer do you work for? Are you or which university are you part of? You kind of just find somewhere to start, which kind of gives you, and actually once you've asked that question, even if it's one question, it can then have a follow-up question and a
Yes,
follow-up
yes,
question.
yes.
So you sort of build it like that, and you give the person an opportunity to either to ask you the question or for you to you offer a response related to the answer they've given you. So you just find an area of commonality, and then before you know it, they
The
just build on there. And
conversation.
and like I said, it doesn't have to be anything complex at all. It can be the weather, it can be traffic. Oh, traffic was it was such a busy, the traffic was heavy getting here, or whatever. It can be the food. Lovely food that they're giving us here. Are you a tea person or a coffee person? So it can literally be as simple as that, and then you sort of kick off the conversation from there and help to build the conversation between, it just grows from there.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, thank you.
Mm.
No, no, like soft skills, it's really interesting. You only get to appreciate the dynamics once you are faced with situations where you've been drilled your whole life to just focus on the hard skills, and you tend
Mm.
to neglect the other aspects like networking, being part of society, and everything. But it really is important. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
No, so I think that's about it for our first discussion. I think we've covered all the really important points we wanted to touch on initially. I'm not sure if you have anything else to add, Mas.
No, no, I think it's been really enjoyable having this discussion, but thank you. And yeah, I look forward to delving deeper into some of these topics, because we've managed to sort of give a very good overview of everything, but there are going to be various strands of it. So yeah, I look forward to engaging as we go. We might not necessarily label it soft skill, hard skill, but you hopefully, as we do other podcasts, you'll be able to sort of see that we'll be drilling in deeper into some of these topics and helping each other along as we go.
Yeah, no, no, thank you, Masimba. So the most important thing is we just want to assist like with actuarial productivity tips as people who have qualified and also gone through the journey, and just explaining it from different points of view. Someone who took the non-traditional route to the actuarial profession, compared to someone who took the more traditional. Is it fair to say you took the more traditional route? I can say
Yeah.
that.
So mine was a very traditional route. Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we
I would
we're
say.
just
Mm,
offering perspectives from both sides. So we'll be having these
mm,
discussions. You'll find them on our website, Ennis Tutorials, Ennis Actuaries, under the Actuarial Productivity section. We will also upload the podcasts where you can get your podcasts, and then there'll be other resources available to help you. Some will be free, some can be purchased, but you're free to contact us even if you just need one-on-one discussions with areas to do with your actuarial productivity, actuarial studies, anything you need help with. We also offer like counseling, coaching sessions, and we can also discuss that. So thank you very much for listening to the discussion. We hope you found it helpful. And please be sure to always be on the lookout for when we release the next discussion. We'll be covering some really, really important and insightful topics that you might not be told about these topics.
mm.
when you are doing your studies, but as people who've been in the profession for quite some years, they really do matter. So thank you very much, and we'll catch up with you next time.
Thank you very much.